It's my honor to introduce the last session. This is Google Analytics, your secret weapon for conversion-focused websites by Paula, Glynn, and Melinda Samson. Now, they promised me that this is going to be a really funny presentation with lots of jokes. So, take it away. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. Thanks. Actually, is that working all right? Yeah. If anyone knows any Google Analytics jokes, we can still include them because we can come up with any. Yeah, so I'm Mel. This is Paula. All about Google Analytics today. We're not going to go through all the detail about us, but I just thought I'd say that Paula is awesome with AdWords, analytics, and conversion optimization.
And Mel is really awesome with AdWords and ensuring that everything's set up to be the absolute best practice.
But we are going to do a Twitter competition, so I'll mention that next, but that's our Twitter handles. Can you just jump back for, that's click tips down here and Paula's Melbourne Pixel, if you did want to include them in your tweets. Might not help you win, but... Yeah, so we're very aware this is the last presentation of the day, so we thought we'd do something fun, because basically we're now on the countdown to happy hour. We wanted to do a Twitter competition. We've got some prizes, very cool skull candy headphones, and a Chromecast, which if you don't know what that is, it puts the Chrome browser onto TV just by plugging it in. And to have a chance to win, please tweet something about the presentation, use those two hashtags. The best tweet will win, which will be judged by Kate, and judge's decision is final, no correspondence entered into.
And if you want to know how long till drinks, it's in the bottom right. So.
Oh yeah, there's a little countdown clock, so you know how long we've got left. Oh, sorry, I keep doing that. All right, so there's the agenda. I'm not going to go through all the points in detail. We've got a lot to cover today. We've actually put a lot of information on the slides for you guys that we're not going to cover in as much detail as what's up there, but we wanted to have it available for you if you want to access the slides later on, so you can get access to more resources. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, so let's start. There's been a lot of hand raising so far today, but we're just interested in who's got Google Analytics set up on their own website. Awesome response. And who sets it up for clients? Okay, that's awesome to hear. And just a show of hands, how often do you think you look at the reports? Like maybe less than once a month? Few? Weekly? Daily? All right, awesome, quite a few. And who always has real-time stats open 24/7? All right, again, a lot of information on this slide, but I just want to stress the reason why Google Analytics is so important. And it's because whether you have a website for your business or you're building clients, you or the client is putting time and money into marketing. And actually, Google Analytics is the tool that can show whether they're getting value out of their website. So is all that traffic that's coming in helping them meet their business objectives? If they've paid you to make a website, is it performing as well as it can to get them a return on their investment? So I'll go through this really quickly, and it sounds like a lot of you guys have got this set up already, but there's a few different ways to set up Google Analytics. Just stressing the first point, if you are a developer, please always create a new account for the client. Don't just create a profile within your own one, because it can cause access issues later on. So even if you need to make them a Gmail address to keep all their Google stuff together, that's what we would recommend. You step through google.com/analytics. It provides you a UA number, which you can see there on the screen, and basically that's a unique code for each property. So really you would get a different UA number for each website that you set it up for, and that's where to find it, which you can look at in the slides later. A few different ways to add it to WordPress. You can add it to the code, or there's some recommended plugins listed there, Google Analytics by Yoast, Analyticator, and GA Google Analytics. You can also just add it to the theme template files or the WordPress editor, and then there's a screenshot of where you'll find the tracking code within admin, and you can just copy and paste that over. And the third way, some themes actually have a custom area for UA codes, so you can just actually take that unique UA number and post it into the appropriate place. And we really want to stress, and this is based on my experience of clients saying to me all the time, I've got analytics set up, and quite often they have an account, but it's not actually tracking, or it looks like it's tracking, but it's all spam. So can't stress enough, once you've set it up, please test that it's working. And we recommend using Google Tag Assistant, which is Google's free Chrome extension. To do that, you can click on it. Basically, the limit of my knowledge is if it's blue and green, it's okay, and if something's red, something's not working.
It looks unhappy.
Oh yeah, is it a sad face? All right, awesome. So over to you, Paula.
Thanks very much, Mel. So does anyone here actually use Google Analytics as part of their pitch process? Like, does anyone actually ask their clients for access to the analytics account or anything like that? Yep, and then do you actually use that information as part of your process that you present it to? That's great. So to give you an idea, that was 4 hands out of all of the room. So hopefully you benefit from this. So the first thing is, let's gain access to your clients' accounts. This is a really super easy way to do, and you actually only need read-only access to get all of the information that you need. Now, if you can just put 1 or 2 screenshots into your proposal, you will wow the clients. They just won't be expecting to see any data. So it can work real wonders for you. What I suggest that you do is do like a little 1-page white paper that you can just send out when you start liaising with your client and say, hey, it'd be really great if we could actually look at your data and actually look at what's happening behind the scenes. Here's a little tip, little white paper on how to actually grant us that access. Don't worry, we only need read-only access. We can't actually touch anything within the account. So now that you've done that, let's go through some tips of how you can use it, but also some 4 top tips to wow your clients and show valuable insights. So Google Analytics for web pitches is a really great way to separate yourself from the competitors and show that you've taken the time to actually research them. So when you actually go into the pitch, you go in and say, hey, let's talk about your website, let's talk about your company, rather than going in and saying, I sell WordPress, I sell AdWords, I sell this and that. So you're actually going in there with a really good insight, and they'll really respect you and be really quite impressed with your ability to go in and present data about them. So not a tip actually, but something that really is important to know is how to read the Google Analytics data. So we've got some key metrics here now. These are sort of your primary metrics. So all of the columns that are here you'll find on most areas of Google Analytics. So I'll quickly run through what they are, but I'd strongly suggest sort of Googling this and learning a little bit more about it.
Or perhaps Google's got a free course online called Google Analytics Fundamentals that explains these really well in a lot more detail. Yeah,
that's really good advice. So you can see that there's sessions, and then next to that there's percentage of new sessions and new users. So a new user is actually someone that's gone to your website for the first time within a catchment of, say, 30 days. A session is the number of times that they've actually gone to the website within that period. So you should always have more sessions than new users, because one user might go and visit the site like 4 or 5 times within that period. So that's sort of the difference between the two. And sometimes in analytics you can see users and new users, so you really just want to make sure that, if you're talking about unique visitors, it's new users. Bounce rate is a really one that we'll talk about quite a bit today, but it's a really amazing metric. And basically that happens when somebody goes to your site and then leaves the site straight away, or doesn't engage with the site at all. Now, if it's a single page landing page, for example, and you don't have a thank you form, which you should have, and we'll talk about that later, but if you are in that boat, Google's not going to consider that it's bad that you've got a 100% bounce rate, because clearly there's nowhere else to go. So it's more about if they scroll up and down, how long they stay on the page. So there's a range of things that determine what a bounce rate is. Average session duration, so remember per session, so per time someone goes to the site, how long they stay on the site, and how many pages they engage with, so homepage +1, homepage +2, etc. And then there's conversion metrics, which the conversion rate is the number of people that went to the site, number of sessions converted, and the goals they completed, which Mo will explain a little bit more later. So these are the primary metrics. You can get more advanced. You can segment these further. That's a little bit more advanced than we've got time for today, but they sort of explain that to you. So tip number 1, mobile. Mobile is a really great way to break down data in presentations. The first thing is, how many of you have had clients that think that their mobile site is pretty good?
And it's actually quite
And it's actually really average. So sometimes clients don't actually think that they need to do a mobile first design, or that they need to cater that much for mobile, because people just go on their phone and then they leave and then they go back to a desktop and they do everything on a desktop, right? Of course they do. So what we know is that the way that everything's trending is that mobile first design has to happen, and sometimes you just need a little push to get clients to see that that actually is required. So a really great way to do that is to look at the data, look at the percentage of mobile traffic, which is in blue, compared to desktop, actually put that in your presentation and say, you know what, you need to invest a little more, or you need to really focus on doing something mobile first, because the data shows that in the last 6 months, your mobile traffic's gone up by like 50% or 60%. And you know what, people are actually placing inquiries on your mobile site. So let's make it a really good experience for everybody, and this is how you can do that. So this is really good. So just with this data, you can see here, like for this, for example, the conversion rate is quite a lot higher on desktop. So something you could do in your pitch is say, okay, the conversion rate is lower on mobile. Let's look to work to improve that. Popular pages, I love popular pages, okay, I just do. Popular pages is a really great way to be able to show clients what is actually being seen the most on their website. So this is a e-commerce site, and you can see collection, women's, etc. Only really look at the top 5 pages in this instance. One will usually be the home page, and then the other 4 obviously your most high traffic volumes. So by identifying any problems in these pages and seeing what works well, what doesn't work well, you can really focus on them and improve. So you know, there's a really good opportunity there with that. What you want to look at as part of a process is, for the main 5 pages that are there, actually visit those pages, which you can do on the little up arrow.
Just click that little
You can just
bit
show that.
there and it'll take you straight to the page. Sorry, wasn't
That's
speaking.
good. And what you want to look at on there is, if it's a collection of women's clothing, are there actually women's clothing on that page? Is that clear? Is the message there? Is there a call to action on that page? And then you can use that data to actually put into your web pitch and say, look, heaps of people are going to these pages, but there's nowhere for them to buy, or there's no phone number, or there's no funnel to go through to the next page. So you can use these pages to really identify opportunities for clients. Conversion data, yay. At this stage, you're basically seeing if the conversion data is set up, or conversion tracking is set up, and if it's working. So on the right-hand side here, I've highlighted it, but you can see at the top there, it says Goal 1 Thank You page. So that should be a series of different goals that you can track. And basically, as part of a web process, just check that it's tracking and work through each of those. And you'd be surprised at the amount of times that you can find that the client thinks things are tracking on their site and it's actually broken or not working. And that's a really good way to you know, say, hang on a second, you've got to clean this up, and they'll be really impressed with that. Geolocation. So geolocations isn't really used that much, but I just thought this was really important to show you, because it really skews the data when you've got like a lot of different people coming from spam countries, and especially like, we sell SEO, can we please do all your SEO for you, which is the case here. So you can see that, yeah, the site converts at 7%. Fantastic. Well, not really, because that 7% is actually 25% coming from India. So we'd actually use something like WordFence to go in and exclude that country, and we would actually make that as part of our web pitch recommendation and say, look, unfortunately, I know you think your site's great because you get a report every month that says so, but it's actually not the right traffic. So there's a really good opportunity there to be able to do that. So you've won the pitch. Yay, because of all your data. So let's use that data.
That, by the way, is my iTunes login that I haven't logged into that keeps jumping up. Sorry, that's a bit annoying.
So let's use the data to deliver a really data-driven web design. Make your websites not only beautiful, but really popular. And there's several reasons for that. Firstly, you really want to have a great brand recall. When people leave your site or your client's site, they really want to think, yes, this is a site that I'd really actually like to go back to. They want to refer that on to friends and family and other people that might be interested in the service. A bad website experience isn't going to have that. Help conversions, really drive traffic and drive conversion so that your clients have the investment to be able to give more money to improve the site even further. And then there's obviously the SEO benefit, that a really good engagement on site. Google actually does consider that as part of their SEO, or not SEO, algorithm. So the better the engagement, the more pages per session and the longer page sessions, then you're really going to get a lot of benefit from that, and you'll get a lot of quick wins. Back to popular pages, what a surprise. So here again, we focus on the most common pages here. I'm just going to run through an example of this. And basically the one thing I wanted to mention with this particularly is the 20-80-20 rule, which you can, everyone's familiar with 80-20 rule. In this case, what you want to do is 80% of the traffic will go to 20% of the pages, and that 20% is usually the top 5. So by focusing on those and making an improvement in your conversion rate of 1 or 2%, you're going to make a really big difference. I'll do it again. You're going to make a really big difference to the bottom line of your customers. So by presenting really good value adds there, what we did, this is actually a transport website. What you can see is, I don't know if you guys can see it, apologies if you can't, but number 1 to 5, except for number 1, is actually all rebooking. So log into your account, rebooking, track your parcel, like you go to Australia Post to track a parcel. That's all you're going to do. So what we realised is that on the homepage of the site, we actually designed a client services specific menu. So where there's the banner that normally an image would go, there was a nice banner of a big truck, and then on top of that sits, do you want to track your parcel? Do you want to rebook? Do you want to log into your account? Above the fold, really great experience. We actually reduced the calls to the call centre by 60% and increased their conversion rate by 20%.
Nice.
So that was by looking at the data and going, actually, this is what a lot of people want to do on your site. Keep it real, keep it to what they want, not always sales focused. New versus returning users. So I'm going to jump through this quickly, but this is basically just to show that sometimes this matters and sometimes it doesn't. But if you do get the time, it can really skew the results. So again, with the transport site, obviously they've got huge numbers of returning visitors, like 75%, which is really throwing the overall conversion rate out to be 5%, when actually new visitors convert at 16% on that site.
That's over here.
Which is quite good. So you really want to make sure that you're separating that out as much as possible. Technologies. One thing, okay, surprisingly, Internet Explorer is the second most popular browser on this particular website. God knows how that happened. We did not build for that, I assure you. But it is, and the reality is that in some industries that's just the way that it is. So all you can do is build to support it. Please, please, please look at the data and build to support these browsers. And if clients go, yeah, but everyone's on Edge. No, they're not. Have a look at the data. People go, yeah, they use Internet Explorer 6. Yeah, I know your sister-in-law uses Internet Explorer 6, but she's like the only person in Australia. And you can actually see that by clicking on, click on Internet Explorer in GA, and that will actually drill down to show you the different versions that people are actually using.
All the links there, you can always drill down on any blue link.
And then you can actually screenshot that and send it to your client and say, I'm really sorry, but we're going to support the most popular browser. Yes, it's IE. Yes, it's version 11. So, quick win. I've already gone through mobile a lot. In this particular case, another live example, 60% of this website's traffic, this is actually a work in progress job at the moment, 60% of this website's traffic goes to mobile. You can see there that the conversion rate is still 21%, so it's still really good on the current site, but there's smart goals, horrible smart goals. But then on the desktop it's 30, so you'd go, yeah, that's pretty good, right? Don't pay too much attention to it. Look at that volume of traffic. Why would you not want 10% of that to convert? That's just nuts. What we actually found when we looked at the site is that the search functionality goes up, not down, so no one can use the search. Easy win. They signed off the job right then and there. Really easy, because they knew that that sort of traffic, that sort of conversion rate, easy to connect the dots and improve that. Behaviour flow. This is super advanced, so I'm going to really jump through this, but has anyone seen the behaviour flow before? Is that, oh good, okay. It's not going crazy. This is a really great way to look at the before and after pages. So we all know, yeah, okay, you can go and look what your landing page is, but what about when someone's like 2 or 3 pages deep in? How did they get to that page? Is that important? What was the before and after step? Google this, watch go to the Academy, Analytics Academy, learn about it. If you can really get into it and you have the time to invest into it, this is one of the most rewarding tools in terms of influencing sitemap and better UX for design. Look where people are falling off as they go, not just the home, so not when they land on a page, when they go to the next page and they drop off, why is that? So actually follow them through their website experience. Different to the user flow, they really don't make it easy, Google. User flow is in a different section of the site, but it's actually where it says country and it says Australia, you can actually change that to be like Google CPC or Google Organic or social media. And then what you can do is actually look at how each particular country or medium flows through the website. So that's really good if you've got like, if you are like, you know, a marketing person in a company or a dev and that's your sole project, you've got the time. That's also a really good tool, but please Google those. They're a lot of fun once you see them. I can't promise you'll get your time back, that's all I can say. Okay, any copywriters here? Okay, after this, just email whoever's in charge of analytics and ask them to switch on search functionality in Google Analytics. So people who built sites with search functionalities before, just generally, yep.
Like that's just the box
Yeah,
that
just
you
the
drag
box
over,
that you
isn't it?
type
The
into
search on your
whatever.
WordPress website.
There's actually a way in analytics you can capture that data, which is insight search. So what happens here is that they track the results of the search use onto the website. It provides insight into what people are searching for on your website in their own words. So if you have an e-commerce site and you sell jumpers, maybe people are searching for sweaters. Like maybe that's just something that you want to see, so you can rename that category. So this is a really good way to actually make a link between all those amazing search terms that are on there and how to actually capture that and use those for content. That is amazing content ideas. Someone comes to your site and says, how do I fix my broken jumper? How do I do this? And they use the search box. Brilliant ideas for content. Really easy to do this. Just look at the last query parameter that's got the arrow above it, S, which is before the word. That goes up into query parameter, switch it on, save it, took about 5 seconds. Really, really rewarding stuff. So the website is ready and you're really exhausted by now. Well, we're up to slide 30.
We're close, we're
so
close.
I'm going to hand over to the lovely Mel who'll talk about tracking and value adds.
Okay, awesome. Just jump on. Okay, next. Yeah, so where I mentioned the importance of Google Analytics is basically people don't have a website, like people have a website to build their business because they want to do something. They want to get leads, they want to sell things, they want to sell advertising, whatever it is. And the key to knowing how well the website performs at that is to have conversion tracking set up. And it might take time initially, but once you put in the effort to have this set up, you will get value out of your Google Analytics every day, you know, following that time. So the different conversion types, you can track inquiries, so that might be a form on a contact page. And an easy way to do that is to redirect the form to a unique thank you page once it's been submitted, and then you can then set up what's called a goal, which I'll show you down the track. Or you can use a thing called event tracking, which tracks the people that click on the send email or whatever the button is. There's also sales. I'm going to mention this a few times. If you're setting up an e-commerce website, I can't stress enough how awesome it would be for your client if you set up e-commerce tracking in Google Analytics before the site goes live. And even if they don't understand why they need it, down the track, it just gives so much information. So it shows them not just how many orders they're getting, but the traffic source, like if it came from Facebook or it came from AdWords or whatever, and also the revenue. So when we're running AdWords campaigns, it's really great for me to see, yeah, there was one order, but it was worth $2,000 versus there was one order for $12. So we use that analysis a lot. Engagement goals, so basically they're ones that track a certain time on site or a certain number of screens. And again, you can track important clicks. So if you want to track a click on a button or a download or a video play, you can do that with event tracking, which I'll cover really quickly. And we just both wanted to mention SMART goals because it pops up and you click a button. But honestly, it merges in with all your other conversion data and makes it harder to interpret. So in all honesty, I would focus on the other types of conversions.
Yep.
So super fast demo to set up goals. Admin on the left panel here, and then click goals. And then you'll see this one, click that red button, new goal. And then you'll see a form like this. You can pick the different types of goals. Really important tip, name the goal carefully. So if someone else looks at the analytics, name it in a way that they know what's actually being tracked, like the obvious one, you know, newsletter sign up, just call it newsletter sign up, not fancy Mel's goal number 76 or something. And also be aware you can't delete goals, you can turn them off, but yeah, you can't delete them. So we recommend plan them offline, like on a piece of paper or a whiteboard or whatever, and then put it into analytics when you're ready. Oh yeah, testing the tracking. So we mentioned before about Google Tag Manager, but another awesome thing, and if you haven't tried this yet and you're a little bit addictive personality, put some time aside. This is called real-time stats, and it shows how many people are on your website right now and what they're doing. Yeah, so a good way to test if the tracking's working, go to your own website, as long as you're not filtered out, and it should at least show one person on the website. So that's a fair indication that it's working. You can also test conversions in real time in the tracking, and that's that link down underneath. So whatever it is you're tracking, go to the website and do it, and it should pop up here as number one. Not exactly real time, sometimes it takes 30 seconds to a minute, which for me is quite long, but just be aware it's not like that second. And another way to test the tracking, if it's a form submission, go and submit the form, and then look at the analytics data the next day, and the day before you should see at least one form submission, so that's another straightforward way to do it, low tech. Okay, I mentioned e-commerce tracking. There's a link in the slides that you can go to. A lot of you guys I know use WooCommerce, and there's a really good plugin that makes that quite straightforward, but if it's not WooCommerce, a lot of like online stores and things do have a way to make that easy to get set up as well. Event tracking, so yeah, this was the one where you clicks on a button or a document download or a video play. It doesn't need the code to be customised. And again, there's a link, or just Google analytics support, set up event tracking, follow the steps. Right, over to you, Paula.
Thanks, Mel. Okay, so super quickly, who has Google Tag Manager on their site at the moment? Who would like to have Google Tag Manager on their site? Awesome. Okay, I should say on many sites, because it works like that. So the main benefits you're going to get out of Google Tag Manager is that you no longer need to go through a developer to set up the code. They can set up the container for the website code on Google Tag Manager, and then all of the tags should be managed through Google Tag Manager itself. So it's like a really central management place to be able to track your Facebook pixel, your AdWords, analytics, Hotjar, SumoMe, anything should basically go through Google Tag Manager. So it really simplifies the process. And yeah, then you only need to have it done once. And as a developer, we suggest it could be a really good value add to say that you're going to set up Tag Manager as part of the website build, because that's going to be really advantageous to the client later on. Pardon me. So a container. So one website per container. A good way to think about it is if you have a GA code, like on a subdomain, and every subdomain has a different GA code, then that's a different container for each of those. So think of it in a way of GA and how that would work. Always, old tags tracking such as analytics would go into the tag section, and you can see them on the side there, and also adding new tag at the top. And a trigger is like a page view or an event goal that basically tells Google Tag Manager when to fire it. So if this happens, then fire this off. To create an account, you go to analytics/tag manager, create your account, then create the tag, and then it will ask you like web, iOS, app, etc. And you obviously select web for that one. You add GTM code to your site. Now, for WordPress, you can add the full GTM script, which is similar to what Mel showed you for analytics, looks the same. And you can put that into your editor or theme files, or you can use a plugin, which can be a really easy way to do it. And a really good one for that is Duracell Tommy's Google Tag Manager for WordPress. Now, if you're running a Genesis theme, you'll need to have an add-on as well for that. So just keep that in mind, and he actually does also provide the add-on. And you can also use Google Analytics for WordPress, which, because you can use that to track analytics normally for a crossover when one's client's going from analytics to GTM, as in using GTM to track analytics, that can be really good as well. So I'm going to jump through this really fast. Add a tag. You saw how to do that on the previous page there, where there's the arrow. Adding a tag, you basically can choose from the Google tag, and if you're not Google, then you get a little grey box down the bottom called Custom HTML. Sad face. So you can add Facebook pixel there. So you just basically choose your tag. Then you add a trigger. So for Google Analytics, the trigger is a page view because you want that to fire on every single page. Now, if you're tracking a thank you page, what you want to do is actually go page view, selected page, and that's when you'll put the thank you page address of what you want to track. Page views, events, clicks on buttons, add to cart, all can be done through triggers. Then we get to the data layer. So the data layer is a way between Google Tag Manager and your website that basically allows custom variables to be captured from the website. So you will need a developer to do this. If you are a developer, please learn a little bit about the data layer, so that especially if you do a lot of e-commerce, so then when a client comes to you and says, we need you to do a data layer for our product, you're a little bit researched on it. There are a lot of really good tools, and I'm more than happy afterwards to provide some to you. But basically it allows you to capture it. It fires it off using Tag Manager, and then it pulls into Google Analytics, and you can track it just the normal way. the Tag Manager, I'm not going to go into it in detail, but has way, 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 way better tracking and sophistication in terms of analytic value. So if you've got a big volume site, it can be a really good way to take it to the next level. Preview, just press preview in the top right-hand side there, which is from the main one, once you've added the container. What you want to do then is when the orange will open, go back to your website, click refresh, and then you will be able to see what happens down the bottom here, which is confirmation of if the tag's fired on the page. If it's not fired on the page, it just won't be there. So it's not like they say, no, it's not working. It's either there or it's not. Then you can press submit, which is publishing, and it's actually got version control on it. So every time you submit a change, you need to save it, and there's an area for notes. So if you're working in a workspace with other devs or other marketing teams, you can see what everyone's done, and then you can, point the finger accordingly when stuff doesn't work. So you can just make a little note there, but you can click publish with that. Mel's already been through testing installation, use real-time, use Chrome extensions. And now I'm going to hand back over to Mel, who's going to do a bit of a lightning talk on how to give reports to clients.
So in Analytics, you can download any screen, and really a dashboard is all this information on the right-hand side. Just click that button up the top, export, download as PDF. We do this all the time if we just want to quickly send clients some information about what's happening. So that's a good tip. But if you do like a particular dashboard and you wanted to either get an email to yourself or to the client regularly, it's in grey, but just to the left of the white box, there's an email button. Click that, and you can then customise the email, put the client's email address in, select the frequency, like it's weekly, monthly, quarterly, and we like to put in a little note. I put notes to myself. I'm like, hey Mel, here's this awesome thing that you did from Mel or something in an email thing. But you can put a note, for me, email reports, if they do nothing else, they remind people I've got Google Analytics and I haven't looked at it and I need to do something about it. So.
Yep.
I also thought I'd show you how to stop those scheduled emails, because if you go a bit overboard, then you can end up getting a lot of emails that you decide you don't want anymore. So just go to admin on the bottom left there and click schedule emails, and you can see all the ones that you've got scheduled and delete them from there if you want to. Alright, 2 more slides and then the prize. So just recapping the best practices that we've covered. Put the code in, but please check that it's working. Also, check that it's only added once. If a client sends you a code, just have a look in the source code and see if there's one there already, because if you inadvertently add the tracking code twice, it wrecks the bounce rate. So if you look at Analytics and the bounce rate is something like 10% or less, it's more than likely that the code's been added twice, and therefore the client's not getting the real information. Have the client set up as owner, we mentioned that, and it's a much better way to do it than then give yourself access. If it's an e-commerce site, I thought I was going to mention that again, have e-commerce tracking enabled. Another good note about having a privacy policy, if you're collecting any information on your website, e-commerce or not, it's really good practice to have a privacy policy. And if you are using Google Analytics, there's a statement you should include, and it says something like, we use cookies to anonymously track visits and improve our user experience or something. So it's good practice to include that. And always be testing. Make changes to improve the website, see what happens to the conversion rate, see if it worked or not. Just, always be trying to improve the website for your clients so they get more value out of it. And a few value adds. Set it up even if they don't ask for it, because AdWords people like us love to have analytics there with all the historical information, even if the client doesn't know, and we're copywriters and SEO people and a lot of people. You can add a dashboard in WordPress, so when the client logs in, at least they see some analytics data there, and there's 2 plugins to do that. Use Tag Manager, especially for if you're going to be putting a lot of extra code on the website. Set up all your email reports, and we also recommend review the data at least every few months, see how you interpret it, and then offer suggestions to the client to what you can do, because then they can pay you money for doing stuff, which is kind of why we're all in business.
Thank you.
How's our time?
We got 10 minutes.
Yay.
Fast, but like I said, we can't go into detail about all the things, but if you just took a few little gems away, okay, you can follow that up later on, that then we'll be
Really happy.
Done.
Yep. Question?
There's our contact details, and if anyone does want the slide, just pop us a business card later or put something through on our websites. And now I think, do we have a winner, or is that? We'll take some questions maybe, and we'll...
No.
Or do you want to do some questions?
Question sounds good.
Awesome.
Up here at the front.
If you added some lines to your own account many years ago, is there any transfer from your account?
It's very exciting. You can now move a property to a new account. Just Google how to do it, but I think as long as their email address is at the account level as well as the property, you can move it over.
Yeah.
I haven't yet attempted it, but I've just done that personally.
Yeah.
And by the way, if you have done that, that's the best way to do it, because you don't want the client losing all their historical
Yeah.
data and having to set up a new account.
I don't know.
There's a limit of 100 accounts on a dashboard there. How do you manage it if you've got over 100? Can you set it up in such a way that you don't have to set up 2 accounts or 3
To
accounts?
the best of my knowledge, there's a limit to how many you can set up, but I don't think there's a limit to how many you can be given access to, because I'm pretty sure we've got way more than 100. So
I think it's
does
100,
that make sense? Is it
150.
150. Good question, but you might just need another Gmail or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm generally setting them up for 4 clients because they don't have them. So, yeah, I don't want to have to set up.
And then you have to log in and out, and yeah, we do that all day.
Yeah. Too good.
Hi, thanks for your presentation. It was really great, very informative. I'm just wondering if you can say anything about Google Spam. I've had a analytics account that got so much spam in it, I couldn't get to block it, so I had to just create a whole new account for that website.
To the best of my knowledge, based on something I read on Search Engine Land, I'm pretty sure, as of a month ago, Google were blocking the common spam, like it was happening automatically now. I use a plugin called something like Google Analytics Spam Removal, and he manually adds ones, like that are coming in a lot. Do you want to add anything else?
There is a setting that you can do, I think it's in tracking code or within those sort of settings within GA, that you can actually like stop. You can tick the box, or you can add them as excluded. There's like an exclusions list, and you just have to go in and add them that way. But honestly, we've found the best success for agencies through like word fence and stuff, and just excluding, finding out where they're coming from and excluding it. And that, you know, if you do the 2 together, then you usually get a good hit rate.
This is actually standard in, I like to spam my data.
Yeah, like ru.log and stuff like that. Yeah, so that's how you do the exclusion list within GA. You can actually add them in.
But you
That's
can filter any list in analytics. There's a thing called search, and you can say filter includes, and just do direct Facebook, whatever traffic you want to look at, and then you don't have to look at that.
You can also set up a filter which can only allow for certain traffic to come in. And so we can talk about that offline if you want as well, how to set a different filter up. And then the separate filter can have the conditions of removing that stuff on it as well. So there'd be like raw data, and then there would be the filtered one, which you use more often.
One more guy.
The guy down here's been waiting for ages.
Yeah, do you want to?
Sorry, this might be a strange question.
Oh.
But if you've got a client coming to you and they've got analytics on their website and they have no access to it, is there any way you can...
Oh my God, I hate that. Damn, I thought, yeah.
Yes, but if they're an AdWords client, we get AdWords support to help us, because they need to know something about that account or
The
who
UA.
has access and what email.
It's not easy.
Yeah.
It's really not
It can be
easy.
done, but not for the faint-hearted.
Yeah. There was another guy down the front that's been waiting for ages.
And then
Yeah.
that's all.
This done.
Just one last, and then we'll
Oh.
do the giveaway.
Hopefully a quick one. You showed the popular pages report, and there was conversion,
Yes.
and analytics is not showing any conversion.
There's 2, so you can do popular pages. You can look at landing pages and all pages. And all pages has exit rate, and then landing pages has the conversion data. So on the first one that I showed for web pictures had exit rate, which is a really good way to see where most people are leaving your site. And the other one has the conversion data. Yeah.
We'll do first the Chromecast. No, you want to do it?
I'm thinking Pixel Digital, at Pixel Digital, and at Dick Lorenz.
I think it's Pixel Digital. Is
No.
that you? Is it
No.
Sorry, who was the first one? Pixel Digital?
Yay. What was the tweet? Kate? Nice. I think that's cool. Let's.
All right, and I was just going to give these away for questions, but if anyone wants a little cute portable phone charger that I never remember to have charged, just come up afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Happy hour.